call Creve Coeur School District number 76 Board of Education regular meeting January 27, 2015 to order. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Here.
Pam Garner.
Here.
Brenda Cagle. Here. Val Reagan. Here. Julie Troop.
Here.
Rebecca Kern. Here. Judy Strong.
Present. At this time, we have public participation for those that have any comments to bring to the board. Please stand one at a time. State your name, please.
Oh, Randy Giddens, 821 South Creek Avenue. My comments about tonight's agenda. On here, you're going through first reading of policies. Several policies start with 7:something. I'm asking the board to consider tabling those and discussing those later. The reason why I'm suggesting that is I'm asking the board to comply with state law, where you're required to discuss these policies with the Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee. You're supposed to have a Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee appointed when you took office as president, and you're supposed to maintain them the entire time. And the purpose of it is to discuss these types of policies. You struggled with some of those things during the committee meeting a couple of weeks ago in making those decisions. The people that most qualified to help make those decisions is the teachers that are present every day, especially on those policies that you're discussing at Parkview, and the teachers are there every day. Their advice would have been very helpful before you decide on what policies to adopt. And state law requires that that committee has input. By skipping the committee, you're not in compliance with that law. It's not an optional. Press policy doesn't replace that committee. They're also an advisory source. And the fact that you skipped one that's required by law on the bullying, preventing bullying, intimidation, harassment, the teen dating, student discipline, you're required to get input from that committee. I've never heard you talk about the committee. I didn't even bother to FOIA their minutes, because I don't think I've never seen any minutes where you appointed that committee or had any discussions. So I'm asking you to table that, get that committee together, get their input, and these policies, I know they were recommended a year ago. The sooner you can get them together, then we can get this board on track.
Thank you. Mr. Giddens, we'll take that into consideration. Any other comments?
Mrs. Strong, I'd like to suggest that we move the first executive session to the bottom.
We cannot. We need to follow what is here. So,
We're allowed to move it if the board
right.
approves it.
I've already considered that, and at this time, with no other public participation, I need a motion.
Can you
For
go ahead and take
executive
a
session.
consensus?
Yeah, can we take a vote?
Sure. Anybody want to move it?
I do.
I do.
I want everybody to have to wait for us.
Okay, that's 3. Anybody else that doesn't want to move it? Okay, there's your vote. As I mentioned, I already
So they
considered
vote
that.
no not to?
Yes,
I didn't hear
I
him
have to
say
go to
anything.
work. Mrs. Troop has to go to work.
So the whole audience has to wait, why we said executive session to get to the rest of the agenda items?
We need a motion to enter into executive session, please.
I make the motion to enter into executive session for appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body.
Thank you, Mrs. True.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Reagan.
No, I didn't.
That was
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, go.
Mrs. Cagle. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
No.
Pam Garner.
No?
Brenda Cagle.
Aye.
Val Reagan.
No.
Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We'll dismiss at 6:07, is what you're seeing? PM. And we'll be back. We need a motion, please, to return to regular session.
I make the motion to adjourn the regular session.
Second. Mrs. Bailey, Mrs. Cagle. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner. Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
This
Who
time-
made the motion and who seconded it?
Mrs. Bailey made the motion and Mrs. Cagle seconded.
To return to regular session at 6:25.
I'll make the motion to table the superintendent employment.
Second. Mrs. Bailey and Mrs. Griner, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner.
Aye.
Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan.
Aye.
Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, the student-focused science fair student request has been tabled. to-
Yeah, they had some issues with some scheduling and timing with students and everything, so we'll pick that up at our next meeting.
All right, then if you'll lead us in action item 1.
All right, I-1 is Mr. Hyde is here to walk us through the our bond resolutions. So if we can get a motion and then have discussion, and we can go ahead and have him talk and let us know.
Thank you. Good evening. Come on up.
We gotta make a motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry. A motion.
I make a motion regarding resolution providing for the issue of approximately $1,320,000 general obligation limited school bonds, Series 2015, for the purpose of increasing the school district 76 working cash fund and providing for the levy of a direct annual tax to pay the principal and interest on said bonds.
Second. Mrs. Troop and Mrs. Cagle, thank you. I guess roll call?
Nope, just a second, and then we'll have discussion.
Okay, not roll call, yeah.
So, Mr. Hyde,
Thank you, good evening.
can you tell us where we're at with the resolutions for the bonds and what you were able to determine on the sales?
Pass one of those, you can take one and pass it, that should be enough for everybody, I'm sorry.
There you are.
I'm passing out two items for you to start with this evening. The first is, got a little yellow on it, so that maybe will help identify the two sheets from you, for you there. The first is basically the results of the bids that were received for the purchase of the bonds. We did a competitive sale, and we received 3 bids, 2 of which were conforming, and 1 from Chase Bank, which was not conforming. They would not allow us to include the cost of issuance as a part of the interest expense, so we would have had to take it out of the principal, and that's not what we asked them for. So we took them out of the mix there. The 2 other bids were Commerce Bank and Morton Community Bank. And the highlight there in yellow is basically what's called the all-in true interest cost. This is the total interest for the life of the 7-year project with all the issuance costs inside. And you can see that there at 2.35%. It's an excellent, excellent market right now. Probably one of the best markets we've had in many, many years. So it's an opportune time to be able to sell bonds. Then the next sheet, which you apologize, it is kind of small, you might need your reading glasses to see it, basically is kind of summarizes for you the levy situation for this bond. We still have one more levy for 2014 to make. for the 2005 issue, and then this issue, as you can see, is in the column where it says 2015 debt service. And then the total debt service, all of this is subject to the debt service extension base because you are under PTEL. We're limited to how much per year we can levy to repay our bonds, okay, under PTEL. And so at this point in time, your debt service extension base is $217,660, so that's the most we're allowed to levy per year. This is again structured so that your total bond and interest tax rate stays constant at approximately that 36-cent level. 36.9 cents is what it was last year and is anticipated to stay pretty darn close to that. Although again, we can't increase per year unless we have CPI, but we can't count on that. So everything is limited to this $217,000 per year figure as our max levy per year.
Wait a minute. That was the original, correct? 2015, the debt service extension base is 243,000?
Oh, I beg your pardon, I read it upside down, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 243. 217 was your,
You're scaring me
current.
there.
I'm sorry. I need my cheaters and I left them in the car. So again, we are limited to 243. But again, the most significant part is we do have some room in our debt service base. We're still maintaining some room per year. That if something else should come up, we would be able to issue some additional bonds and still stay within our debt service base. Again, we are staying and trying to keep your tax rate stable is the whole goal of this particular structure for these bonds at this point in time. So, questions I may answer for you.
What were the factors for considering the bids from the different banks? Was it just interest rate, paying agent fees, and these things here? Was that all that we looked at?
Interest rate is the total interest cost is what we looked at, including any upfront costs for the paying agent or services. Again, Commerce had a little upfront cost, so we included that in our issuance costs. Their annual cost is less than Morton Community was. But overall, it's just basically what the total interest expense is. And so we looked at the total interest expense, where we have the total debt service, again, that includes all the interest, and it was about $30-some thousand less with the Commerce bid than the Morton Community Bank bid.
And this is over the 7-year term, is that right?
That is correct.
This debt service number here, 1,444,000, how did you come up with that? How do you reach that number?
It's basically the principal paid back over the 7-year period of time, targeting this tax levy per year, staying in that $200-and-some thousand a year figure. We couldn't accelerate it a whole bunch because we have to stay within PTEL. Okay, we could go longer than that, but then of course that adds to our total interest cost.
Right.
So this is basically as short as we can do and stay at your current tax rate. And so that was really the structuring constraint, as short as we could and stay within the current tax rate.
Okay, and we could have went up to what, 1.5 or 1.6 million? What was the top ceiling? Do you remember?
Let me see if I have
I saw you have your prospectus, Ms. Greiner. No, go ahead. If you just flip to that chart. I think it's near the back. Kevin, she's got the prospectus. She has the prospectus.
Oh, uh-huh. That's what I'm trying to pull out. Oops.
Because we talked about different amounts. And we were talking about 1.2, 1.3. Maybe this is a question for Mr. Aldridge. How did we arrive at this figure? Because we all talked about later we could reduce it. I think Mrs. Cagle was the one that was asking that question.
The excuse me. The amount, the 1.32 is, that's just the factor of the tax rate, our levy tax rate, keeping that level, and the period of time that we wanted to go. When the consensus of the board went through the discussions was 7 years was, we didn't want to go 10,
Right.
we didn't want to, 5 was a little, it would take up the levy rate if we were, to be 5, so 7 would keep us flat and give us the most amount of money over the shortest period of time. So that's that we kind of backed into that number.
Right, but I thought we discussed that we were gonna discuss it in January and February and do this in March, and that we'd ask for a plan and all that.
Well, and I wasn't at the last meeting when you discussed the bonds, but I guess I thought we didn't have a definite number, because I thought we had discussed at the meeting prior that we don't want to take out the full amount, because if you ever need anything like building costs, we couldn't borrow
We're
more
back to
money.
his question
We're
about our
locked in.
full amount.
Yeah, the $4.6 million.
Yeah,
But
your
that's still
total,
only .3.
your overall debt limit for all types of bonds right now, or when we ran these numbers, was just under $4 million, $3.8 million. Your working cash fund capacity, that's a different limit, that was a total of $1.78 million.
How did you arrive at these figures?
There's statutory formulas.
Okay,
Your
like, you
maximum,
call our auditor, or?
no, it's a function of your assessed valuation
Okay,
and the statutory rate. So your overall debt limit is basically 6.9% of your assessed valuation, including any enterprise or TIF value. Even though you don't receive taxes on it, it does count for debt limit. Your working cash fund calculation is basically 85% of the maximum education fund extension, which is $350 is the maximum ed fund rate under PTEL for a K-9 district or KE district, plus 85% of your CPPRT dollars, and that's all spread.
You asked the
Corporate-
question.
I asked the
Ben.
question.
Corporate personal property replacement tax dollars.
okay.
And that's the maximum fund balance you're allowed to have in your working cash fund, and then from that you can subtract what's in the fund or the nickel levy, because you're allowed to move out anything up to the nickel levy. So that calculation of 1.78 million, whatever that is in that book there, was based on abating or moving out all but the nickel levy of the working cash fund.
Is that why we left some in working cash?
Yes. And we moved some.
I'm sorry, that was way more than I needed to know.
Apologize
No,
for
that's all
trying
right.
to be too technical. I want to answer your questions.
You answered the question.
In terms of, the maximum, I need to go back and see, that might be my other phone, let's see.
I just wanted to make sure we had enough left in there in case something were to happen if we needed it.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
That was my,
yeah, you do. And again, as you pay working cash fund bonds off, then you get regain authority and you regain debt limit authority too. So as each year you pay some off, you're gonna regain authority as well.
And you can go across where it says the second big blue box here, the second big blue box. As you see, we're paying our total debt service starts at 217,016, and then the next year it goes down to 216, then it goes down to 211. And as those payments go down, you can see that our debt extension is going up, and it will continue, to go up to that 200 and, well, it's at 243,000. But next year, with the cost of living increase, it'll go up to 246,000 and then 250,000. So that goes up, our payments go down, we gather that cushion for further debt if needed. And we talked about the 10-year life safety survey coming up in 2016, and next year we'll need to start that process. So there may be times a time where we need to have a life safety bonds, and that's that extra, the $3.8 million, that cushion in there is where we would take those funds from.
Wouldn't that increase the people's taxes if we did that? Because that would be over.
This is working cash, and then the other debt,
3.8 million.
that's a different amount,
Right.
okay? It will increase the levy, yes, but that has to go to a referendum to do that. So
Or we would have to,
they have to vote.
we could stay within what we have here, so.
Right.
Right.
And we could, if necessary, even restructure some of these payments if they needed to make it fit. So there are some ways you can
So
deal with that.
just borrowing this amount just keeps the taxes up there instead of letting them come back down.
but they're not getting any higher.
They're staying
I realize
flat.
that, but I'm just
Yes.
saying.
They're
it's-
staying flat.
It's basically still keeping the taxes up,
Maintains your tax rate where it is today.
Right.
Where it was last year.
instead of letting them come back down.
Okay, and when it goes down,
I know we don't have so much.
Well, no, it's not just that, Mr. Reed, but when it goes down, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hyde, but when it goes down, then we're under a tax cap, we're a tax cap county, so we can only go up again, you know, incrementally, and it's gonna take you a long time to regain any kind of levy that you're.
And you only go up again if the citizens vote on it.
Then you can ask for a referendum at any time, sure.
You're allowed to levy up to this debt service base for non-voted bonds
Yes.
at any point. And you could drop it and let it come back, but then that's the roller coaster effect for people too. They're used to paying a certain tax rate, and
Don't
when
want
it
to
goes
increase.
down, nobody remembers the next year when it goes up.
And it goes up and up, all right.
Yeah.
It looks like it tripled when if it would have
Just went
stayed
back to where it
level,
was.
yeah, it would have been right back where it was, or pretty low. So this was the best combination, working with Mr. Hines, it was the best combination that we were able to get to by keeping the tax level, or the tax rate level, and not extending beyond our debt ceiling, so to speak. We stayed under that, and by $400,000 approximately, and gave us the shortest term, which was 7 years. So we kind of packaged that all together and come up with $1,320,000.
But could we took out less and paid it over 5 years and still kept it the same?
We could have, and we did show some numbers to that effect in that book there. We did a 5-year, a
Right.
7-year, and a 10-year.
And to do that would mean
We
a whole new
probably,
bond
we probably would have to
bid.
go back and rebid the bonds at this point, because that's not what the bidders expected they were bidding on.
But
For
in
the
the
year
past, they
term.
did it over 10 years. The last one we just are coming off of
It was
was
a
a
10-year
10-year.
bond.
Yeah,
So you're shortening it up by 3 years from what you
yeah,
had.
it was 10 years.
I just really wish the board would have talked about it again and decided what amount to come up with.
That's what we decided at the meeting.
Well, I thought that's what we were doing. That's why I emailed yesterday. I was surprised it was on here. I thought we were gonna talk about it again and decide an amount. So did you guys know the amount before the packet?
Yeah, I thought we had a
We
meeting.
I think that's a
said
meeting.
7 years, and
December.
we
Right.
said whatever
We
we can get
had that
without
meeting in
increasing
December.
taxes.
December 19th.
It's
Because
what
I
we
know
said.
we talked about
Okay, the meeting that
800,000
we
too.
were at.
That meeting you weren't at.
Oh, okay, so that's,
Right, I
we
wasn't
missed
at
the
there,
meeting. Okay, my fault.
And that's where there was discussion about the technology and facilities and the needs that have already kind of been discussed. So there's no detail to it.
I thought there was
But
supposed to be a
there's need.
plan though with the technology, how much we were gonna spend in different areas.
I never got a directive that there was to be a plan. There was a lot of discussion, and there was nothing that gave me any kind of direction that the entire board was comfortable with. So, you know, if that was a mistake on my part,
No, I mean.
and I
don't
heard
know.
something wrong, you know, I'll own that, but I didn't really, yes, we talked about something happening in January, but there was no consensus, and then it didn't go anywhere. So, and
Right.
we just moved forward. December 19th, there was discussion, there was talk, it was held.
That's right. I wasn't there, so.
I would point out the levy does, the bond issue, if you're going to impact the 2014 levy to keep the rate from falling and coming back, it all has to be filed in the county clerk's office by the end of February, so we don't really have more additional.
Thank you for your time.
That was, oh, I'm sorry, no, go ahead, yeah, I'm sorry.
All right. So I believe we're ready for a roll call.
Linda Bailey?
I know we need the bonds desperately. I just don't agree on the amount or how it was done, so no.
Pam Griner?
No.
Brenda Cagle?
Yes.
Val Reagan,
No.
Julie True,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye. Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Then we need a motion regarding the resolution about the school district 76 working cash.
I make a motion regarding resolution abating the school district 76 working cash fund.
A second.
Thank you, Mrs. True and Mrs. Cagle.
And did you have the numbers for that, Mr. Hyde?
Yes.
Okay, and the resolution that you had was a draft that was sent to the board in your packet, and it was draft because we weren't positive on where this was gonna go, so that was why it was a tentative draft. So Mr. Hyde does have the recommendation, and
Pass it around again.
poor Mr. Hyde, he's suffering from the being down in the back like the rest of us here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a little herniation going on right now. Okay, so I believe you have seen the draft, so rather than look over the whole thing, I think I'll switch to, when you get it, if you would move to page 2, which I guess is really page 1, but it's the page following the first page of the minutes.
Section 3.
Section 2 and 3, yes.
Three, sorry.
Again, Section 2 is the abatement amount, which again, 800,000 is the amount we're abating, which is again a permanent transfer out of working cash, because we have that limit we can have in working cash, so we have to do this transfer or we can't issue the bonds, because then we would be over our limit. And so 600,000 of this amount is being directed to be transferred to the operations and maintenance fund of the district, and 200,000 is to be directed to transfer to the transportation fund of the district. Those being the funds of greatest need in the district as defined. So lowest balances and the one who probably have the greatest need at this point. So that really, I think everything else probably was there in the draft that you had a chance to review ahead of time. So that's the only real difference between the draft and the final version, is to fill in those dollar amounts. Of course, we'll make I'm making notes on moves and seconds and votes, and I'll fill all those things as well.
Any questions from the table?
Whose decision was it to move 600,000 into operation and maintenance?
That was something that was worked out with Ms. Cornwell and I, as far as which of the two main funds, the main operating funds for the school district. You can see that the education fund, if you look on page 3 of the agenda, the education balance the balance in the education fund is $2.4 million. The operations and maintenance fund, $349,000. Transportation fund, $191,000, and the working cash fund at $879,000. So, given our needs in operation and maintenance in our facilities, and also in the transportation, it was the figures were determined at those amounts to, based upon what we have for need.
So you put no money in the ed fund out of that. With the test scores being what they are, I would have thought at least a large percentage of that money should have went into the ed fund. Do we
But
need
in
new
order to
textbooks?
improve test scores, we need computers, we need technology, we need infrastructure.
Where is the data that says
Electronic.
that?
But we also need books.
I mean, we keep saying.
Not
we need-
anymore. Most places are doing it online.
And we got a big grant for technology before, and it did not increase our scores whatsoever. They continue to drop.
1.5 million.
Mr. Aldridge, even in his email over the weekend, said that as he watched the children engage, they were more engaged in non-technology activities.
I mean, I think there's a lot we need. Salaries are paid out of. Like you said, Sylvan Learning was coming back in, so that's gonna come out of the ed fund, correct?
That's out of Title I money, or federal Title I money.
All right, if we got tutorers in, would come out of ed fund again.
That, we have that built into the Title I fund money, the federal money. That's where our after-school tutoring is for.
But in the Title I, in the Title I for the after-school tutoring that we're doing, doesn't it just include Title I children? Not all children in the district?
No, we have flexibility now, and there's been an expansion.
Good. I'm glad.
Yep.
Okay, how about the 200,000 into transportation? Does that mean we're going to transport all of our children again?
Is that what the board would like to do?
I don't know. I didn't put the 200,000 in there, so I'm
Okay.
asking you.
Okay.
Is that, why does it need $200,000?
Well, we needed to move working cash funds
I agree.
out of the working cash money out of the fund. All right, so that's what we needed to do. The transportation fund, if you look on page 3, the expenses year-to-date are at 57.6%. We have historically run a little behind in transportation. That seems to be one of the costs that we have a hard time controlling due to fuel costs and maintenance costs and the like. So it's a matter of seeing the two funds that were the lowest, where we needed to place our working cash fund into the O&M and to the transportation fund. That's what was discussed, and that's what I had Mr. Hyde put into the resolution. So if the Board of Education wants to change that, that's your prerogative.
So our hands are set with those two amounts, or can we move them from?
We can,
strike and change.
No, I mean, after it's through, when we've come and realize, oh my goodness, we're short on money in the ed fund.
The board always has the ability to transfer between funds. So if you wanted to move money from the O&M to the education fund, or
That's what we
O&M
need here.
to transportation, you have the ability to do that.
It's not concreted. Thank you.
Do we have to approve a new budget when we do that, or something like that?
It wasn't in the last one.
we would have to amend.
A new budget, I mean, yeah, when we do that.
Yes. Yes, we would have to do that. We would have to make, any permanent transfers would have to be done that way. And once we receive the funds from the bonds, things are gonna have to change anyway.
So we're gonna have to do that with this too, amend a new budget? I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking.
When we
Not to
receive,
Not to receive the bond proceeds, because the bond resolution is its own appropriation under statute.
that's how that works? Okay.
I meant for the working cash fund, to move that, to move that money out of the working cash fund to these two other accounts. Do we have to amend a new budget?
No, because as Mr. Hyde said, these are the appropriations for moving these around. Yeah, these transfers.
You had said earlier that we would probably do this. I don't know where you got that.
Yeah, I think it's something about the budget, but.
Moving on, I believe we're needing a roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
No.
Pam Griner,
Nope.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
No.
Julie Drew,
Aye.
Rebecca Kern, aye. Judy Strong,
Yes,
motion carried.
thank you. We need a motion for a 4-year term lease, please.
Make a motion regarding four-year term lease with payments of $11,268 to be delivered on or about July 5th, 2015.
And we have something in that motion
The
to specify
buses.
that it's a bus?
Yeah.
Motion regarding
Figured
a
it was
four-year-
a bus, but,
Bus
So a
lease.
4-year term lease of a bus.
A second.
Do you have a question about it?
Kegel, second?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we need a company name on that, or?
This is just an extension of our general contract with Midwest Transportation. So is the bus quote you can see in your board packet. This is the company that you've had and have used for a number of years. And this is sending back our oldest bus and returning with a new bus.
Kind of standard then.
It is. It's been the practice of the district to rotate its bus fleet.
Okay. Table, discussion?
Okay, I have a question about the statement that the district is responsible for all maintenance and operational expenses during the lease term. So there is no warranty for these buses? I thought in the past that they had at least major warranty that comes with transportation, engine. I don't remember ever seeing that statement on a lease report.
The district is responsible for all maintenance operational expenses during the term of the lease. That is the oil changes, that is, there is a comprehensive lease that is in your general contract with Midwest that's always been with all of the buses. Nothing's changed as far as that's concerned.
I just didn't see it in this one, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay, but this is normal standard operating procedures that they don't pay for oil changes, they don't pay for brakes, they don't pay for inspections, right, yeah. So, those kind of things. We have all the operational expenses come from the school. So, but
Okay, so this isn't the actual contract, this is just a summary for the board? Is that?
That's correct. That's correct. Is it the board's preference to see the entire contract from Midwest? I mean, that didn't change. We don't get a new contract from them on an annual basis. You sign a standard contract, and then these are just the addendum, because they're just lease turnovers.
All right.
Has the mileage always been 15,000
Yes, sir.
a year?
And
Do
it's
we
the
ever
same
have-
thing we've done every year, or every other year, or
Do we
whatever.
ever even go
Yes.
through
Normally
hear
we get
that?
specifications.
No.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. That.
Yeah, you go.
Are the cameras that come with this acceptable? I mean, they're gonna show what we needed to show because we've been replacing some, I think.
Yes, ma'am. That's one of the things that we did make sure of, was to get an updated camera system that was a little easier for our bus drivers to plug in. And we were having problems with the computer. The memory chips, the memory cards that go in. They were getting put in backwards and sideways, and they were getting bent. The prongs were being bent. So we got something that would just take a flash drive instead. So it's a little bit easier and non-destructive, because that's what's been happening. We've had to return and have cameras, not the cameras, but the recorders repaired, because we've had those kind of accidents. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for those comments, directives. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey.
Aye.
Pam Griner. Brenda Cagle. Val Reagan. Julie Troop.
Aye.
Rebecca Kern. Aye. Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I apologize for my work schedule. It is what it is.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right.
Thank you.
Good night, folks, thank you.
We'd need to move the first reading then to February, rather than right, because we have a committee meeting, unless you wanted to make that a special meeting.
Present that to the table. accept this as first reading and still have discussion on it at our next meeting, whether it be the COW meeting or the regular meeting? Where are,
I have no idea what you're talking about, Judy, can you
First
can you
reading.
fill us
Speak up
in?
so we can hear you, please.
Sure. The first reading is presented here with a motion. Having the two of them leave, I'm presenting it to the remaining board. Do you want to go ahead with the first reading of this and then have our discussion brought to either our February 4th meeting, I think it is, or our regular meeting in February before we have that final vote on it, because there's two readings, right?
You still have a quorum, so I'm ready to go with the first reading.
You're ready to go with the first reading, okay?
Everybody else?
Yeah.
Consensus else?
That's what we should do.
Okay,
Okay.
so I need a motion, please.
I will make the motion to accept the first reading of policy 2.30, school district elections. Policy 2.100, board member conflict of interest. Policy 2.110, qualifications, term, and duties of school board officers. Policy 4.30, revenue and investments. On policy 5.10, I would be willing to accept the first reading with corrections. I believe we talked in the meeting about putting Mrs. Muller on one of them as one of the
Yeah, we did,
complaint managers.
as a female.
Okay.
So
Because you
female,
have a male and a female.
She put Mr. McCormick as
Yeah, we
So
did.
with that correction,
With that correction, very good.
Good eye?
okay, policy 5.30, which is hiring process and criteria. Policy 5.35, compliance with the Fair Labor Standards Act. Policy 5.125, personal technology and social media usage and conduct. Policy 5.80, temporary illness or temporary incapacity.
5.180.
I'm sorry, 5.180. Policy 5.190, teacher qualifications. Please note we are missing 5.240, so I will not add that to the list. Policy 6.65, student social and emotional development. Policy 6.160, English language
Down
learners.
at the bottom.
Sorry,
That's okay.
okay,
You jumped a few.
I'm going through the
Yep,
book.
we know.
That's fine. We will also have to omit 7.70. We're missing page 2, which is attendance and
7.7, what did you
transfers.
say?
7.70, we're missing
I
page
have
2.
it. Not, yeah.
Okay, adding for first reading, 7.140, search and seizure. 7.180, preventing bullying, intimidation, and harassment. Policy 7.185, teen dating violence prohibited. Policy 7.190, student discipline. And that's it for policies.
What happened to all the fives? Second.
Either APs or their exhibits. I only did policy, first reading.
I'll second, but I would also ask you to rescind your motion and table 7.70, 7.180, 7.185, 7.190, so that we can form the committee that was suggested by the audience.
Okay, do we have a committee? Is there a parent advisory committee?
I will have to look and see.
Because it was in
Let's see.
policy.
It's in state code.
It's in
Yeah.
state code too. Okay, then I will amend my motion.
I'll just have to look and see who is on that committee.
Okay,
But you have a meeting, so you will amend your motion to take the 7 point policies out, and I will re-second the motion.
7.140, Mrs. Callahan, are you?
You take, okay, 7.140.
Which wasn't on the agenda to start with.
Right.
Oh, okay, sorry. 7.180, 7.185, 7.190.
7.180.
Okay. So all the sevens need to come back. 5240, missing, 770, missing second page. Okay, so we all on the same
Okay.
paper here?
Also on these, it says approved February 2015 at the bottom. And I think maybe that was the problem when you were saying that when we were going over these policies, that it was approved, but never anywhere. So I wonder if that's not what's happening, that we're automatically putting these in here before they actually get voted on.
And we'll,
I mean, I just wonder.
Yeah, that's a first
Okay.
reading, but yeah.
I mean,
okay.
because it says approved.
That's, right.
Right.
And so I will
Right.
talk to Ms. Walton, and we will make sure that that's not on there again.
Well,
And I keep things straight.
right, because we
It
didn't
might
approve it.
take a date off altogether until the second reading.
Right, right.
Not a problem.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call. And on
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
the, yes,
Motion carried.
thank you.
I have a question. Is the 4.30, is that in there to be approved as well?
Is that an exhibit item?
No, 4.30, I think I.
It's revenue investments.
Was it in there? Okay.
Yeah, I got that marked.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Right.
All right, then I would like to make the motion, ready, to accept the APs. Let's put them into 3.
All right,
Is that okay?
motion to accept.
Well, and I was thinking about that, and that's why I kind of left them on here, is that if we don't have the policies adopted, if we don't have the changes to the policies adopted, is it prudent to go ahead and approve administrative procedures prior to the policies being adopted with whatever changes we might have? Or does it make more sense just to do it at the second reading, adopt and approve everything at that time?
Makes no difference, as long as we don't lose them.
I think since there's been maybe problems in the past where there hasn't been consistency to have them voted on or approved, that we need to make sure that we at least have a note somewhere that they've been talked about and approved. So that, it doesn't happen again where, did we even look at that? Did we approve that or make note of that?
So do you want to go ahead and approve them now, and that way they can approve?
I think
We
so,
always
because you guys, we talked about that last meeting, like that.
We
where
did,
they
and
looked
that's,
at and
but
where
that
they
was,
approved.
that was my reasoning for not
Right.
separating them out, so.
I see what Mr. Aldrich says, you're approving the exhibit without approving the policy.
But you can always go back and send it.
Okay, that's true.
That way they don't get lost, that way they're out of the
Right, I
way and
agree
we
with
can move
Mrs.
on.
Cagle, that,
Because you guys talked about that, where they looked at, where they approved or whatever. so-
and this way they do not have to be copied again, only for our book
Right.
we're
Oh,
done.
that's true.
Okay, I will make the motion to accept administrative procedures, 5.30, AP2. Five point 35, AP2,
Not one?
it's
Our
missing,
book.
it's
Yeah.
missing.
I don't know if it was a copier or, because none of this was changed from the previous time, so I'm wondering if there's a copy mission error here.
Okay, 5.35, AP3. 5.35, AP4. That's it for APs.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Bailey brought the motion and Mrs. Greiner seconded it. May we have a roll call, please?
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you.
I would like to make the motion to accept the exhibits 3.60-E, 5.35-E, 7.140-E, 5.190-E2.
5.190-3, E3.
E2,
So there was 4 of them.
yeah.
Which one did you say?
7.190-E2.
Right, E2.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
Okay.
Can you read that back, Holly, what you've got?
3.60E, 5.35E, 7.140E, 5.90E2.
7.190E2.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Moving on to J, results driven. Mr. Aldridge, please.
Sure. If we can have Mr. Joe Gish come up and give us some awesome results from Parkview this past month.
All right, we're finishing up our second round of map testing, and we're almost done, thanks to Ms. Callahan for helping out in the process with this. But based on, we finished up on Thursday, everything I've seen so far in terms of classes, Parkview students are continuing to demonstrate above average growth, which is just awesome. So congratulations to all the educators at Parkview for the good work that they're doing. And the map testing is a time-consuming process. It's something that the high school asks us to do as part of placing students. And we recently had our 8th grade students take the placement tests for the advanced high school classes. So as we finish that up, we're preparing and planning for park testing, which begins in March. So, and with the park test, the 7th and 8th grade will be taking the paper pencil version of that. 5th and 6th grade will be taking that electronically. So it's, for myself trying to administrate it, it's kind of confusing because you've got certain rules for paper pencil and certain rules for the electronic version. And the park test is new, so it's kind of anything new, it's a little bit scary, but we're gonna get through it and we're looking forward to it. Last week we conducted walkthroughs at Parkview. This was the instructional practices inventory walkthroughs. We had a total of 316 data points with an average of 3.9, which is a little bit above our average. And it's just a lot of fun to be able to get into the classrooms and see all the excellent teaching that's going on. And I'm happy that I'll get to visit LaSalle tomorrow to do the same process here. And just at Parkview in February is just really busy. We've got the spelling bee coming up, thanks to Nicole Clark for organizing that. We have Scholastic Bowl going on. We're in preparation for the Science Fair, which is in March. We've got 5th and 6th grade girls basketball, 5th and 6th grade boys basketball. Our 7th and 8th grade boys basketball seasons are concluding. We have volleyball going on. Chess team, not to mention our science club and our drama club is kicked off. So we just have a lot. February is a very busy month, a lot going on, and it'll be spring before we know it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Before you go, Mr. Jokic, the park testing, what have we been doing to kind of prepare the students and for the online version? We've been having, the teachers have been going to the Pearson site for, there's
Practice
the,
test,
practice
yeah.
testing.
And some of the teachers have started that process before the park test. They all will have done that. You know, we've had meetings about that, and the nice thing is, with our teachers done a very good job of being aligned to the Common Core. So as they're looking at the things that are on the park test, they're like, okay, we've done this, we've been practicing this. So, and the park test is designed to be more not so much what knowledge do you know, it's what can you do with the information. So it's a change from the ISAT, which was needed a long overdue change. So, and it's a positive step forward. There's going to be some growing pains, I'm sure, that go along with it. There's going to be complaints with it, but overall, it's going to be better in the long run.
Sure. And one of the reasons why, well, the reason why we have some students, some grade levels taking the test online, and some of them taking paper and pencil, the 7th and 8th graders taking paper and pencil tests, is because of when we did the beta testing for our technology structure and the load that would be placed on it for testing, the State Board of Education determined that we had partial capacity at Parkview. We were okay here, but we only have 2 grade levels that take the tests here. So based upon whatever numbers and information that Mr. Wendland gave to the State Board of Education, that's what they came up with and gave us a partial capacity rating, which allowed us to take 2 grade levels online and 2 grade levels paper and pencil. So figuring that our youngest students would need the most practice at this, we decided to give the 7th and 8th graders a paper and pencil test and put our focus on our 5th and 6th graders taking the online version, since that's what they're going to have all the way through their school careers. So that's where we were at. That's why there was a paper pencil version.
So the test has to be taken all the same day, or?
There's some flexibility. There's some differences with the ISAT. The ISAT, we had very rigid rules. There's more flexibility with the park test because they know that, you know, there's only capacity in most school districts. You know, it's a limited capacity.
Right.
You can't test all of your, you know, 4th graders, 8th graders, 7th graders. You can't test them all at the same time. So there's windows of opportunity, there's scheduling flexibility built into the whole process. And since it's not, since it is online testing, the State Board does not have as much concern about cheating by administrators and teachers, okay? Giving this test to the 4th graders and then the next class getting it the next day and them comparing answers and things like that. So the State Board doesn't, because it's online and the test it changes for each student in the rotations, they don't have as much concern about that. And so they give us some more flexibility.
But there's not enough flexibility for them all to do it online.
No, we don't have the capacity.
What about the netbooks? Wouldn't do it.
No, ma'am.
Those are 5 years old, and those don't have the juice to be able to run the park test.
Right.
Can you even do the practice with them?
They don't have the speed.
Right.
Yeah, because it is online, but they still don't have the processing speed. It takes, you know, an inordinate amount of time to pull things up. So, you know, to pull up a website and things like that.
What do we need to have full capacity? I mean, do we need 60 more computers?
It'd be more, yeah. I mean, I'm not certain the number, but yeah.
We don't know. We don't know at this point because they have a formula that, you know, is through whatever information Mr. Wendela, you know, it's not just the number of machines, it's also the infrastructure, and it's also the bandwidth and all of those things that are, you know, yeah, that are taken into consideration, part of the criteria. So, you know, is it just buying more computers? I'd say no, it's not just having more machines, although we'll need that. There's also the infrastructure issues as well.
So are we looking at that so that next year they can take them all online?
Because next year, everyone, from what they're saying, everyone has to.
That is the most recent information.
And it's
Yeah.
a twice-a-year test. We'll be testing again in May.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
park test every year is twice a year?
Mhm. Eventually, it will, I mean, they're gonna offer it 4 times a year.
Right, but you're only required, mandated
So
to do it twice.
It's almost like map testing.
Yeah, eventually, I think at some point, it's gonna replace the math test.
And how
That's
much
gonna-
do we pay for map testing? Yeah, I mean, that might be a blessing. I don't know.
Then we're relying on the state's testing and them getting information back to us. So, I mean, it's something to think about, yes, most definitely. But the map testing has gone a little quicker this year. Ms. Smallberger, Ms. Callahan?
The results that the students get are up on the MAP website for the teachers to look up within 24 hours.
So it's more instantaneous.
Yeah, rather than waiting, you know, was it about a week or so? It's like, was it 5 business days by the time they got it back to us?
The MAP,
Yes,
it used to be 2 to 3 days.
2 to 3
Now
days.
it's 24 hours.
okay. Yeah. So,
And I found the web-based site to be much more easier to navigate through, more user-friendly. And I know I was looking at what we're gonna send home to parents, and it's just simpler to read for them, so I think parents will like that also.
Okay, this park test, maybe Mr. Jokish would know. You've done the practices, you said. Is this multiple choice, or do the kids have to type an answer?
For the practice tests, some they will definitely be having to type an answer in, just
Okay.
depending on what it is.
And my next question is, are we still offering keyboard? Do we teach keyboarding?
Not at
Like
this
we
point,
used
no. Yeah, that's probably something we should look at.
And is it
Now
a
the
time
younger-
test, I would assume?
Great.
The park, yeah, but you have you have a lot more time.
no, I'm trying to hear.
It's,
the comment.
Where with the ISAT test, you had 60 minutes to take it. With the park test, it varies, but they give you up to 90 minutes, and the test is actually a little bit shorter.
Right, not as many questions, longer period of time, because they know that not all students are gonna be, especially your 3rd and 4th graders, they're not gonna be as proficient at the typing as at the high school level. A lot of it is mouse-driven as well. It's highlighting, it's here's the question, you have an answer, now what information in that reading passage, what information is your evidence for your answer? Why did you pick this answer? And they can highlight and point and click as well. So that has been one of the, criticisms of the test. But the state board hasn't cared, This is the
Well,
test.
we were teaching
so.
keyboarding from what,
Mhm.
3rd and 4th up?
LaSalle used to have it, I know.
I didn't know it got replaced, so. Okay.
That's before my time.
I know.
We probably need to look at it again because it's not going away.
I'm sure the teachers are, from what I've heard too, they're also directing the children how to highlight. When I went to the park testing seminar, they are telling those teachers, you need to train the students to highlight. So that's about the only directive that they're giving.
So,
And
yeah,
actually,
all of-
that's not in keyboarding.
All of those are considerations, and they're not being lost with the staff as teachers have been investigating and doing their research on what is it I need to be telling my kids and teaching to my kids. They're taking those things into consideration. So it is something that needs to be a little more directed and a little more diligence into it, and we will take care of those things.
Because I think Mrs. Callahan taught those classes, didn't you?
I was gonna say, she taught at Parkview,
Yeah.
so that wasn't
You
there
gotta wanna
before.
mention that was
It
about
was
the time it
over.
went away.
I'm sorry?
That was about the time it went away.
Okay.
Anything more for Mr. Jokish? All right, hearing none. Mr. McCormick, tell us about LaSalle.
Well, I continue to host Coffee with the Principal, first Friday of each month. I'd like to invite you all to come. The next one would be February 6th. We do that from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning. And anybody out there, welcome to come as well.
Have you thought about an evening one?
No, because if I drink coffee in the evening, I can't get to sleep.
You could drink decaf and you might get more people.
Okay.
Like Pam and Linda?
You know
Keep going.
what?
Exactly.
Actually, you're the first one to suggest an evening one. I can think about that.
I think because of all the working parents.
Sure, sure. Excellent idea, thank you. As Mr. Jokish mentioned, I was actually at Parkview last week going through doing the IPI walkthroughs, measuring how engaged the students are in the classroom. He talked about that. Tomorrow, we'll be conducting them here at LaSalle, so at the next meeting, I can kind of report back on that for you. I did want to talk about PBIS and what the team has been doing there. They've done a couple different things. The last couple months, we've kind of had a monthly focus as far as a particular behavior that everybody has been focusing on with a special colored wing that was given out. We normally give out the white wings, the eagle wings, that we have a store for and kids can redeem those, but monthly we're doing different colored ones that is for some special reward drawn for at the end of the month. In December, we were fortunate enough to have Jan Thomas donated about 150 Beanie Babies that we then had drawings for right before Christmas.
That was awesome.
And we actually did that, was a get one, give one. So if your name was drawn, you chose two, but you had to give one away to somebody who hadn't gotten one. And that was, that was really a neat idea. At the end of this month, we'll be drawing 2 students from each grade level to get their faces painted by the same group that painted faces at the Fall Festival, if you were here for that. So that's coming up at the end of this week. Additionally, PBIS kind of recognized that we had some issues with tardies and absences, and so they came up with a plan to target tardies first of all. And it's basically a competition for each classroom, okay? Each classroom is competing against every other classroom to see who can be the first class each month to get to 10 days with no tardies. Now, we actually started it about a week late in January because we had to tell the kids about it, and then we had a couple of cold days off there. Yesterday was our 10th day of attendance in January, and we had 5 classes tardy-free on that day. So we had 5 winners, and those 5 classes will all get, at the end of this week, actually get a little hot chocolate party in each of their rooms. So not a huge reward, but they're pretty excited about it. And they actually continue the race to see who can get the most for the total month. And then February 1st, we start over again. Did that explanation make sense to you guys?
Yeah,
How we're doing
great.
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
good idea.
Now, more importantly, and I was really excited to send this to the teachers today, because before this meeting I wanted to go back and look and see what were our tardies like in November, what were they like in December, what have they been in January here. In November, we had 15 days of school because of holidays and whatnot. And we had 101 tardies. That's an average of 6.7 tardies a day. In December, we also had 15 days of school, and ironically, we also had 101 tardies. Again, 6.7 tardies per day. In January, so far, we've only had 14 days. We only have 54 tardies, so it's 3.8. tardies per day. So we've almost cut that number in half. And we're really hoping to continue to build the idea of, hey, we gotta get to school on time so our class can win something and get everybody here on time.
Great use of hot chocolate.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And I need to do something about sick days,
What's that?
about them being sick. Wash their hands.
That's-
or
We don't want to
something.
think
Not
they're here
sick.
sick. But right.
Sick, truly sick is okay. It's
Yeah, keep them out.
Wash their hands.
Well, we saw that the tardies
That's
were
awesome.
in the late arrivals were becoming more and more prevalent. And so, you know, when that was brought up and the team really tackled that and came up with this ingenious idea to do that, it's just a great thing. So I thought that was really neat when you sent that email.
Would
Excellent.
it work at Parkview too? Those kids probably
Might have to
would.
get
I
rid
don't know
of
if
hot
hot chocolate would work, you might have to do something else, but.
We
but
did
if
a
you can get
booster for that in December for all the students who were, we went for 1 week. If you were on time every day and you were present every day, the PACE group made popcorn. I didn't track and see with how high it went. I should have done that. So, it's a
If
good
you
idea.
get them trained at this level, maybe it'll carry over to Parkview. That's one
Exactly.
idea.
Exactly. And you know what?
Strengthen habits.
And it's fun, the kids.
Actually, I was asked this, did you communicate this to the parents at all? And we really didn't. I mean, it was more getting the kids saying, I gotta get to school on time, I gotta get to school on time.
Right, so they're bugging their
Excellent.
parents
Right.
and grandparents to
It
get
was
there.
funny. It was funny some days.
What do you mean funny?
How many tardies
It
do we
was
have this
fun.
morning? We have anybody late
Because
today?
You'd see the kids come running in and the parents are coming, are they on time, are they on time? And we're like, yeah, they're okay.
Did we have anybody late today?
No, and it was really cool because I used to make out 5 a day and now I don't even make them out anymore.
And tardy is any time past the first bell.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, at any time.
You know, and not only you think about a kid being 5-10 minutes late, you know, not only does that disrupt their education, but they wander down to the classroom 10-15 minutes late, they disrupt that whole morning routine.
Exactly.
You know, so I imagine as a teacher, it's probably pretty nice to have all your kids on time.
Good.
I got 2 last little things, just dates coming up. February 9th, kindergarten and first grade, we'll be having a reading night here at the school. And plans are still kind of evolving for that, but there will be cookies, and I think I get to read. So, pretty excited about that. And then on February 20th is the chili supper coming up in the south. Oh, and I also want to mention park testing, because we too are getting ready for park testing. Ours will be all on computer, and at this point it's just 3rd and 4th grade until they migrate that down to the lower grades. To give you an example, you know, with ISAT testing, we used to have a 2-week time period to do that in. And in my experience, you could get that done in 4 days pretty easily, you know, without pushing too hard. We now have a month window.
Wow.
And with just 3rd and 4th grade, it'll be about 2.5 to 3 weeks for us to get all that in on the computer. And we can do it in 2.5 weeks, but you know you're gonna have a couple makeup days in there as well. So, our teachers are preparing for that. They started by, most of them are starting using the smart boards, putting the questions up there, working through them with the kids, showing them how to use the tools that are available. Because for math questions, they may need a protractor, or a compass, or a ruler. You can't hold one of those up to the screen. They actually drag those and use those on the screen. So the teachers have been working with first showing them how to do it, and then putting them in front of the computer to actually do it themselves. And as far as the keyboard in 3rd grade, I met with the 3rd grade team, and they were very concerned about this as well, because they said, there's a writing portion. Our kids can write, but they may not be able to type it fast enough. So working with them, they've instituted, they already do a rotation in the afternoon where the teachers switch, and so they've incorporated one of those times into being keyboarding time. So the kids are first learning while map testing is going on. They've got the fake keyboards that they're using at their desk and just learning finger placement, and then they'll work into the computer lab as well to get more experience actually on the computers as well.
Okay, so we still have the software.
My understanding is with the software and our current operating system may or may not be compatible. Christine Allen used to help out with that program, and so she knew what program we used and everything. She said it's there, but it doesn't want to load, so we submitted a ticket to tech to see if they could figure out what's working, if we need to upgrade something or not. But I told 3rd grade teachers, even if you just open up a Word document and have them type, you know, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog to work on those letters, that's something.
There's online typing games too that they could do that might be
Exactly. And I really think that just having all grade levels doing the map testing gives them a lot of the computer familiarity. You know, because they do a little bit of typing, you know, they have to type a few things in here and there. They've got to use those mouse skills. Is it identical to what the Park test has? No. But it's giving some, our kindergartners and first graders and second graders, some of that familiarity using the different things that are there.
As we talked about in some of our administrative meetings, that students are a little more tech savvy than we give them credit for, and that they have devices at home, they have computers, some of them have computers at home, so they're not as far behind as we might think they are, and
if you let them type with their thumbs, they're great.
Right, and a phone, you know, or an iPad, but put them in front of a keyboard, they're gonna think it's a little different.
They
adapt.
Yeah.
really well, really quick,
Two thumbs.
because they love it, they love it. And yes, I did mention, through, thank you, Mr. McCormick, unless you have anything else.
I don't.
I did mention about our IPIs and our walkthroughs that I was seeing students being engaged in low-tech type of situations, and teachers using, you know, not necessarily having to use a smart board every time or a device every time, but utilizing, you know, different techniques and skills. Okay, but that doesn't replace what they were going to need when it comes to our map testing and our accountability with the park. That has to be a priority as far as our technology is concerned. So, thank you, Ms. McCormick. Any other questions from the board? Okay. All right. I would like to start off with our 5 Essentials survey. Is that time of year again, or our time. It's every other year at this point. This is just a frequently asked questions about the Illinois 5 Essentials. It's the survey of school climate and school learning that is that we ask teachers, students, and parents to participate in. It asks the teachers about the work environment in the school. It asks parents to respond regarding the school environment in general. And unfortunately, I'm not quite sure of the questions they asked students, because I didn't log into the survey as a student, because you have to have a specific identification number for students to do that. But I took both the teacher and the parent surveys at both schools just to get an idea of what it is that they're asking of our individuals. And you can see this is definitely a research base. It comes from the University of Chicago. And it says that there's, for critical for school success, the following 5 essentials: effective leaders, collaborative teachers, involved families, a supportive environment, and ambitious instruction. Those are the 5 essentials. And there's about, 15 or so questions in each survey. So it takes about 20 minutes when you read through and make your choices. And it asks a range of how likely do you agree? How much do you disagree? So it goes on that kind of a scale. And then, as long as we have 50% of our population completed, and then we will receive a valid report from the University of Chicago about our survey. So we really, obviously we're gonna have all of our students do it, so we get 100% there, essentially. And as far as the parents, we're really gonna make a push for parents and our teachers to complete the survey so we can get an accurate picture of what people are what people are believing the school environment is like. And you can see that some of the questions, what does the survey ask? How might my school benefit from participating? The survey provides an opportunity for students and teachers to have a voice in improving their schools, their school community's participation. Your schools, your school community's participation can help your school identify areas of strength and those in need of support, with fine-grained questions surfacing specific avenues for improvement. Equipped with this knowledge, school leadership, including teachers, support staff, principals, and district administrators, can be better positioned to target resources and efforts to drive school success. So through the 10 or so years that they've been doing the 5 essential surveys, they found that these 5 essentials correlate with successful schools. So we are going to make a real concerted effort to get our parents and community to be involved in this, and so that they can, like it says, have that voice in that. To that extent, I've had conversations with the village of Creve Coeur with regarding their big old new sign out there. If you've driven by at night, you've seen it. It's very colorful and lit up. And I am going to produce a message to put out so that people can have our website address on the sign, the circulating sign, so that they can go to our website, and we'll have a direct link to the 5 essential surveys, so that people can just go and get right to it very easily. We will be sending parent notices in our newsletters. It will be an outreach on the website itself as well. I'm going to post this document here that's the frequently asked questions for people, and it's just going to be a real effort to get, I'd like to have 100% of our parents, I'd like to have 100% of our staff taking this survey, so that we know and we can have an accurate picture, or a picture of what it's believed that is going on in our schools. So this is something we have to do. It's a state mandated situation again. We've taken it in the past, the year before, so that would have been 2012-13 school year, Mr. Jokish, I believe?
Yes.
The 2012-13 school year was the last time that it was administered here. So once we have this survey, we'll be able to compare and see where we've gained, see where we need to focus, and have some data to work with. So.
Can anyone sign on to this?
I'm sorry?
Can anyone sign on and do this, or do they have to be a parent or?
It says parent survey, okay? It says parent survey, and the questions are kind of related to how does your teacher, correspond with you? How, those kind of questions about the parents in the school district. How, some of the questions are like, how inviting is your school? How, what's your school climate like, and those kind of things. So there are some general type questions as well. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to take all of the questions, you don't have to answer all of them in order to do it. So would it skew, and I put some thought in this, would it skew us if it was just opened up to the whole wide community and I said, everybody just take it? It might. But I think I want to risk that right now to try to get an accurate description and an accurate idea of what the community's real perception of the school district is, so that we can identify those things and work on improving the communications with the community and those individuals who don't have kids in the district. So we're going to suggest that they do, but we're not gonna force anybody.
So will the surveyors know that it's not the parents, it's just the community? Because that's gonna skew their survey.
It's not going to, it doesn't, I don't think there isn't anything in there that says whether you're a parent or a community member. There's nothing that really, that there's a difference.
That's fine.
So the questions, like I said, there's general and then there's real specific ones. Well, if I'm just a community member, I'm not gonna have that knowledge.
Right.
So you leave that blank.
Okay.
And they say that that's fine. You don't have to answer every question. I don't know what their criteria is for a valid survey, you know. Exactly, do you have to answer, 5 out of the 50 questions or 25 out of 50? I don't know, that's up to them.
It's not a research, it's just a survey.
It is a survey.
I think that's where I'm getting.
It is a survey.
Oh my God, it's gonna mess up the research.
No.
Do we have the results from 12-13?
Yeah, we have it. I don't, we'd have to, pull it out of wherever it's being kept, but yeah, I'm sure.
Is there something you can get from that too, to compare them?
Well, that's why I kind of put it out there, is that once we have this, the 14-15 school year, then we look back at 12-13, and we can see where we've increased and improved and where we need some more work and focus.
Okay, you have the chili supper coming up. A lot of community members come in. Would that be a good time to pass out flyers with the survey on it?
No. You know what we're gonna do, Ms. Greiner? We are going to entice them to come into our computer lab and do it right there.
Okay.
We're gonna have some prizes, and we're gonna have some incentives and things to
Good idea.
bring them in. And since you're here and we've got the technology, do it. And get a chance to win a $10 gift card, or exactly. Get your meal free, whatever. Yeah. So, these guys have been very creative with the things, incentives and stuff. So I'm really gonna leave it to them to really think that out and flush it out. But yeah, we caught on to that one. And we also thought about basketball games and volleyball games and such, but you have visiting teams, and I don't want to try to have to police all of that stuff and have somebody, staff member. So we just didn't think that would be all that great. But
They're watching their kid, they don't want to go watch.
yeah, you're right.
It takes 20 minutes.
So yeah, it does take 20 minutes.
The
It's a
game's
commitment.
over.
It's a commitment of time.
So, right.
But that is, that leads into B, which is the village invitation, where the mayor's agreed to allow me to attend the village trustee meetings to discuss school topics, just to broaden the scope of community members that have knowledge of what's going on and the issues in the school district, to be able to open it up to, do they have questions? Are people just sitting behind closed doors and thinking that we've got school shootings and there's drugs in the schools and there's violence and there's gangs and all of that stuff? Do they have an accurate picture? So this is an avenue to reach out to elected officials, other elected officials that have constituents who talk to people. And if we're giving them the information, then we know that they're getting some accurate information to relay to everybody. So that's where, that was kind of the reason to do that, to kind of reach out and use the village trustees as another avenue and mechanism of reaching to the community. So, then the final topic there is the Sylvan tutoring again. Invited Sylvan tutoring, and we're not required by Title I to provide the supplemental educational services like we were last year. However, in conversations with teachers, ones who were providing the Sylvan tutoring and ones who saw what was going on in their classrooms, it was seen that there was a positive effect on the students. And the real The real contrast was giving the students another alternative way of doing a problem, of attacking certain, reading and math problems. We're focusing on math with the 4th grade because that was the identified area of need through our map testing, and then reading as well with the lower grades. So we've really put some effort into our lower grades because as I said last year, we didn't have very good participation at Parkview. So there wasn't really a need to stress the students at Parkview with Sylvan tutoring. So we decided to utilize that, some of our Title I money that goes for student supplemental services, and to bring that program back. So it's our teachers providing the instruction. It is Sylvan program and materials, but it's our teachers. So they are filtering it through the things that they're doing in their classrooms. So seems to be from last year, what we saw was that it was giving some students some real success. So
do we have another plan for Parkview? If this one didn't work, do we have something else?
at this point, we haven't had those discussions. We have the tutoring in the spring with, how do we do it over there?
At Parkview?
Yeah.
We have the after-school tutoring with, through the Tazewell County Health Department.
Tazewell County, that's it.
But that's all year.
Yeah, it's been ongoing since
Okay.
about October, November.
Right.
It's offered 4 nights a week from after school until 4 o'clock.
And that's not so much tutoring, but homework help, is that right? Or is it more directed at actual skill building? I don't remember.
It's a combination of whatever the student need is. It depends on the individual.
Right.
They have a snack, and then a lot of it's homework help.
How many kids are in that?
They will allow us to have up to 15, and I know we've got a waiting list right now for that.
So can we, would that be an option to maybe look at it, what we could expand at Parkview?
There's a waiting list.
If there's a, right, I looked into it, I know.
Yeah, no, that is.
But I'm just saying, what,
If we had more money in the ed fund, we could.
We have plenty of money in our title and our ed fund to take care of a type of program. I'm surprised that there's a waiting list for that, and they wouldn't come to Sylvan.
right.
When was Sylvan held? Was it right after school?
Yeah,
So what was the
The same
complaint?
Different children,
Yeah.
Our mobility.
sure too.
I
So,
mean, did they say why they wouldn't go to Sylvan, but they would go to after-school tutoring?
I think it was an actual Sylvan tutor, and there was just kind of a disconnect. They didn't know the individual who was doing it.
and there were transportation issues as well, because we don't provide transportation to parents after school with the tutoring. So there is that. There are a number of factors. We didn't ask specifically.
Could we maybe
all of that,
send
so.
a survey out to the parents and say, because maybe some parents did get off work until 4, so they couldn't get there until like 4:15, 4:30. Maybe if we held a little bit longer, they would have their child here, that way they could pick them up. I don't know, just send out a survey and say
Sure.
what works for you.
Well, if there's a waiting list, we need to provide something, it sounds
Absolutely.
like.
Right, I'm sorry.
There's only about 3 or 4. It's not a real long waiting list at this point.
Not 30
3 or
kids
4
barking at the
maybe.
doors, but
Mr.
Mr. McCormick?
One thing I'll point out is that one advantage we have here is with Latchkey here. So we have a number of the kids who go to tutoring after school and then roll over into Latchkey, and the parent might not pick them up till 5:30, 5:45. So that's just kind of an advantage, having
Right.
that program here.
Okay,
Just
so we
roll
did the same.
$200,000 into transportation, take them home.
There we go.
We
Or
found the money.
have a latchkey program over at Parkview.
Right.
No, they didn't.
That would work.
Go.
Oh, I don't know, that's not.
I don't know.
I know, that's not my program,
We're
so I
trying
don't
to
know.
give the students some help,
So-
Yeah.
any way, you know.
We could talk
We do
about
accept,
that.
What's that?
we do accept Parkview students into the latchkey program here, and they just ride the bus over,
But-
and there's exactly one who doesn't.
But there's no tutoring over here for that.
Correct. But I'm just saying, year-round, there's only one latchkey student from Parkview.
Yeah, it's because they're older kids.
It's a cost.
And they're older
Latch,
kids.
you know, they're older kids, latchkey is a cost.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, there are a number of factors, and, you know, we can certainly figure out how to, you know, approach or get information from parents and find out if there are types of programs that will, that they would be interested in, and it's the commitment that once it's started, then we have, you know, we've had a lot, we put a lot into it, and then the parents who thought it was a good idea, or, yeah, I'll start, I'll sign up and do this, they just never materialize after that. We do have a lot of that, but, you know, there's no reason we can't figure out some way to investigate some kind of situation to help with our Parkview. Great.
I have another question. Didn't report cards go home, or did they go home this week?
Last week, yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering, can we get like, and maybe I missed it in the letter, I was just like wondering how many kids were on the honor roll? And what was the overall?
I know that was being asked about and developed. I don't know if they've gotten it done.
That'll go out in Friday's newsletter for Parkview.
Thank you. I just wondered. Since our test scores are,
Very good. As we move into consent agenda, I'd just like to make a note that on K1D, approval of student activity fund reports, it says for Parkview School, in your packet, LaSalle School was provided, but that's not on our agenda, so you'll notice that it's for Parkview School only. So we'll roll over LaSalle to our next meeting.
All right, would you have a motion, please?
Make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Bailey. Mrs. Kingo, second. Discussion? None?
I have a question on some of the bills. 16494 Bradfield's computer supply, $1,846. Check equipment.
What was the number again? That went kind of fast.
16494.
It's on page 2 of the check summary. Looks like equipment.
Mhm. Atlas Long District, Bradfield's computer supply. Okay, local technology equipment.
Normally we get smart boards from them, but I'm not sure.
And program. So trying to remember back what that was, supplies. We've had a lot of bulbs gone out. We had to purchase a new projector that was
Color wheel.
the color, yeah, the color of the RBG color wheel was going out, and I don't remember which classroom it was.
Third grade.
Third grade, and
More used to be speak up.
so there's that, there's the bulbs as well, and they're a couple $100 a piece.
So it's more equipment
Things.
repair than
So-
new equipment?
No, we had to they could not be repaired because of the color wheel, the color systems, they had to be repurchased, right? And Mr. McCormick, did this include, I just don't remember, did this include moving anyone's smart boards
No.
this time? I
No.
don't think so. We had talked about that previously. Okay. So it is local tech equipment, and those purchases there for mostly the smart board equipment. It's not for a brand new unit, a smart board unit. So. Okay.
And I know we have a contract for our copiers, but I'm seeing some strange concerns with DigiKey Corporation, copier lease. It's 16501, page 4.
Used to say what, digital copiers?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on there too. There's a check for that also. 16558 is digital copy systems. They're both for the same amount.
DigiKey Corporation. And then where is,
The other one is 16558.
7, 8? Oh, 55, sorry. 558.
That's great.
Copier lease, Digital Copying Systems LLC. Check date 115. Check date 113.
2 days apart.
So, right, the 2 days apart, copier lease from December 1st to December 31st. It's the same dates, same amount. Invoice number 143477, same invoice amount. Is there a corresponding void anywhere? Because,
Nothing I saw.
okay, I'll have to
There
check.
might be, but I didn't.
Yeah, I'll have to check with Ms. Cornwell, but DigiKey Corporation and Digital Copy Services, it was my understanding that they were the same company, so I'll have to ask her about that one, it's being the same amount.
Support on the bills.
I don't have it, she didn't give it to me in the office, yeah. No, it's the same, and if you turn the page, 6501 DigiKey Corporation, it's there again, checks total for, so the way the check register works sometimes is not always as clear as possible, so I'll ask her and
And it looks
get
like
that
one is
information.
for December and one's for January, so maybe it's just a timing issue due to the holidays. It's odd they're made out of different companies.
And that very well could be, being it's the same amount each time, and it does indicate copier lease. It seems to me that maybe it is a difference, and the invoice description should have been changed to December, I'm not sure. But I will definitely investigate that.
Okay, and check 16530, I just have a procedure question on this.
6, 5.
This is for food supplies for a classroom. I know at Parkview, we take it out of the activities report and then reimburse the district.
What was that number again?
16530.
3, 0. I'm looking at 0, 3. Oh,
I am not finding that as a teacher name, and you're saying it's 2?
payments made out to a teacher that it, for reimbursement for food for her classroom. And at Parkview, we take it out of the activity refund, out of the activity fund, so that the teacher is not out that money waiting for reimbursement. If this is an ongoing thing, I would suggest maybe we do that here also.
At least do it the same way.
You're right. Just get some.
Yeah, I can talk to Ms. Theory about that, because that was what we were starting with Ms. Millicent, and then trying to, instead of them going out into the economy to buy it, rather to go through food services and get our, whatever discounts might be there. It takes a little more planning on their part to plan ahead, because you have to order and all of that stuff.
Right.
So maybe it's not as convenient. Usually it's not as much as this. So this is probably a couple, probably a month and a half worth of receipts that
That's
she
what I
turned in.
figured, and I just hate to
Yeah.
see them have to put their money out and then be refunded.
Agreed. And we can definitely,
You're saying what fund did you see it taken out of?
Parkview's is taken out of the Parkview activity,
Activity
out of the
fund.
general account in the activity report. The district pays it,
Mhm.
and then they reimburse the activity report.
We did get those banana dolphins, but I'm sure it didn't cost that
I
much.
hope
Mr. McCormick has his hand raised, as in he may have some in like.
I believe that was the entire semester.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And that was the first time I'd seen a reimbursement like that come through. And Ms. Theory was fine with that. She didn't suggest any other way, but we could certainly look at other ideas.
I'd just like to see it uniform in both schools, how we handle it, and it's a great program, so. Maybe that's all I have.
Not a problem.
I have a question on the tuition reimbursement. A couple of things. First of all,
What, wait,
just
What
in
number?
general, it's not, there's a few people in here that has tuition reimbursement. I think it's for education. And for instance, 16576. I just want to I know that we reimburse for tuition, but I didn't know the money amount that we reimburse. I know it's like, there's a pot and then we split it. And do we go up to a certain education level? I mean, I know like we won't pay for the principals, we wouldn't pay for their like type 75 and things like that. So I didn't know at what point do we not pay and we continue to pay. I mean, I know it has to do with the union contract, so you might not be able to tell me.
there is, I can say that in the contract language, that there is no limitation on, a master's degree, beyond a master's degree, or anything like that. There's no limitation in that language, in the contract.
So do we pay for the
There is,
principal 75 then?
no, that was something that was kind of discussed with Mr. McCormick in making that, that kind of request, and that hadn't been done in a long while. But as far as the teacher's concerned, there is no limitation there. There is a specific amount, a limitation on the amount of money that is put into the pot, so to speak, and is provided each semester for the teachers. The number of teachers determines how much each prorated gets, based upon the tuition rate of Illinois State University at the time, and then fees and costs, I think, are also included in that. So that's as much as we'll pay. So if a tuition to a different school costs more, we're only paying up to that amount. So
So they're different amounts then.
exactly.
This one and this one are.
But
Yeah,
classes also
Right.
have to be approved by the superintendent, is that correct?
Well,
That is correct.
that's what I mean, so I
That
didn't
is
know at what
correct.
point we just say you're past your
That's when you leave it up to your
master's.
superintendent to decide.
If there is, if we want to have discussion about limiting the teachers going beyond a certain point, then that would be something for negotiations at, 2 years from now.
No, I just didn't know if it was in
Okay.
the language. I was
No.
asking, because I know Mrs. Strong has several.
only one through the district.
So, and, you know, I would say, you know, we're in the business of education, so, you know, keeping our staff and promoting and encouraging individuals to go back to school and further their education for their classroom makes sense. And I would encourage that, and, you know, encourage the board to take that on for not only the teaching staff, but administration as well.
Okay.
I
I
think it's
didn't even know
important.
some of their names. I'm just like, I don't even know who this person is. But, yeah. Well, I think she's, yeah, I don't know who the person is.
Any other questions on the consent agenda?
Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey?
Do we need to pull the one? Or
Oh,
The LaSalle report, that's information that's in your packet, but it's not on the agenda, so you're not voting on that, so
There
that'll
was
be
a-
carried over.
there was a check in question. Are we pulling that? Are you wanting that pulled, or are you wanting it kept in? And
Oh,
just have
okay.
Mr. Aldridge direct it to our.
Information about the DigiKey, do
You
you,
can just find out about it. I don't
Yeah.
want to stop somebody from getting paid if we owe the money.
Okay,
I don't think we're double paying anyone, so.
different dates on it. Roll call.
Linda Bailey?
Abstain.
Pam
Since I
Grier?
wasn't at the meeting, I don't want to vote on minutes.
Exactly, abstain.
Oh, I wasn't there either.
Pam Brenner abstained.
Yes.
Brenda Cagle?
Aye.
Val Reagan?
No.
Judy Strong?
Yes. Abstains turn into what?
An abstain turns into the majority, so it would be a motion carried.
Okay, motion carried.
All right, continue on with L, board communication, please.
You'll see that there are some Freedom of Information Act requests. The newspaper reporter was requesting information regarding our collective bargaining agreement language with specific union officials being paid to attend union duties outside their normal workday. We provided that information. Mr. Reeder is a reporter from Springfield, dealt with him in the past, and it's come from the Illinois Policy Organization, and we're not the only school district to have received this. So this is more of a information gathering for some kind of report or article that they're putting together. So it was provided. It was information due to disclosure. The other one was a continuation for Dr. Vincent Miles, who was doing some doing research. Actually, he's a professor at the University of Illinois. This was a FOIA request that came back in December, but in his request, he automatically gave us an extension until January. That's why there's a January 3rd deadline, or date on the response. So we disclosed the information that we had, and we denied any of the information, some of the information, asking the district to search and produce 30 years of records, many of which are no longer located within the district office, and it was going to take a tremendous amount of time and effort to go get that. Dr. Miles has FOIA'd every school district and municipality and village and park boards and fire protection districts. So he's got a lot of information. I don't think he's going to be getting around to us anytime soon to complain about it. We did give him the latest information that we had in the office at the time. So yeah, we complied substantially.
All right, moving on to M, executive session motion, please.
about L2 and
I covered it.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
IASB Division Dinner Meeting in March, and we are hosting those for that. We're having a White East Barbecue and the Meeting Place. These establishments were chosen well back in, when was that? Is that May meeting, I believe?
Quite some time ago, and I will go ahead and, I think I responded to your email.
Okay.
I would,
Okay.
work with.
At the May division meeting last May, the board members who were present decided that they would like to offer up our school district to host this March meeting, this March division meeting. And so we will play host to about 100 school board members coming over to participate in this division meeting. It is one that has sessions in it, so we will have dinner, and then you will go around to different classrooms for the sessions that they will have, and we will put all of that together. As each district that sends board members, the board members do pay for that, so there is a budget that we have that will be given specifically, and we will get the number of people who RSVP and register. So we will have all of that pretty well planned out.
There will be no cost to the district then?
Shouldn't be any cost for any food or anything. We'll have lights, we'll have heat, we'll have to, have the custodian, maybe, I don't know if they go past 8:30 or not. I can ask.
Not over till 9?
I'm sorry?
They're usually over at 9.
Okay, so we may have an half an hour of cost or an hour of cost for a custodian to take care of that, so we would have that. But as far as food is concerned, and there's no cost to the district because it's charged back to the individual members. We're charged every time we go to another school district.
I think it's a great idea to use the 2 places that were selected, whoever selected them.
That would be Ms. Cagle, Ms. Troop, Ms. Kern.
Okay, so
We were
that's the
at-
committee.
We were at.
No, there was no committee. We were at the division meeting. They asked for volunteers.
For a school.
So this is something that needed to be put on an agenda for the board? I'm just asking.
I don't know.
No.
Do we?
I mean, if you're spending district money, typically it should be on the agenda.
I think as a courtesy, the whole board should have discussed it, but, okay.
Who owns Meeting Place?
So,
It says it's owned by a Creve Coeur resident.
On Facebook it says.
I was just wondering, I'm just being nosy. It says owns, it says Creve Coeur native. I'm just wondering who it is.
No, I think the selections were good.
Yeah, I think they are good
Whitey's,
too.
you mean, or which one?
No,
Meeting
no,
Place.
Meeting Place.
they were the ones that were here that did the
It's
the Pace
wonderful.
Fun Festival.
I don't mean that, I was just
So-
wondering who owned it.
Go
It's
ahead.
wonderful.
You know,
Could have said select, and then I'll be able to find out.
Yeah, they've got a page on it.
I mean, I paid there, I think it's good food, but.
All right, moving on.
Okay, school board candidate, or school board election candidates. The ballot's set, and we have 6 individuals running for the 3 seats. Following individuals were placed on the ballot: Ms. Judy Strong as incumbent, Ms. Julie Troop as an incumbent, Mr. Randy Giddens, Ms. Catherine, and did I hear that that's not the correct? Is it Catherine? Okay, I thought I heard that I made an error to the name.
No, she was asking me which daughter showed up, they're twins.
I just asked. which daughter
Oh,
was here.
okay. They're not gonna pull stuff like that at the board meetings, are they?
Mine.
Oh, okay, please. Catherine Reagan and Miss Savannah Bone Taylor. We have one write-in candidate, Miss Mary Curtanis, and we'll be producing a list of just general questions, informational questions for candidates to answer or not answer, and to put onto the website, just to put information out to the public and regarding the candidates, where they, where they live, what's their interest in, why are they interested in being a candidate, those kind of things.
Is that what the board directed you to put that out there?
No, the board didn't direct me. I just thought that was a good thing for the community to have information about their board candidates.
But that's the board's decision,
It is?
not the superintendent's.
Okay, then I retract all of that.
Well, in the
and
past.
we won't do it.
What policy are you talking about?
She's not talking about policy.
I'm
Why
talking
do you
about
say
board
that?
jobs and superintendent's jobs.
Well, and I think it's stepping on the
Where did you
community.
find that? Where did you find that?
We're,
In trainings, Judy.
I've never heard that before. I've always, even he contacted the ISBE to state, can the school show they want candidates running? And so she directed him, again, she's directed him what has been done in the past. There is no policy, I believe, is what she stated. So I don't know where you're coming from, and why wouldn't you want the community to know?
I'm okay with that if that's what the board decided. We've had it on there on the website before.
Okay.
We've listed, but it's a board decision. It's not a superintendent decision.
I just don't know who else has your opinion of it.
well, I
So-
think you're stepping on community, because in the past, we've had community organizations hold a meet your
Yeah, like
candidate
Lions
night.
Club.
Lions Club has done it in the past, the Parent Club, I think, the Ladies Auxiliary did it when they had one. Right, so there's various organizations in town that have held meet your candidate nights.
Here at the school.
Right, right, we open up the school, let them do it, and that way they can, it's the community then that would be asking the questions. They're the ones voting, they're the ones that need to ask the questions.
4
And
years
Channel
ago.
22 also,
Yeah,
Judy, you
4
know
years
you've
ago.
done that.
Mhm.
Right.
They also do questions, and it's televised on the local channel.
Mhm.
So I think we'd be better off just leaving it to those avenues.
And what were you saying 4 years ago?
Only 2 candidates went to the channel to do that.
That's their option.
It's their option, it's, some people have to work on that day.
I think it was on a Saturday.
It was, some people have to work on that day.
Saturdays.
Hospitals just aren't closed on Saturdays.
I think they had an option to, I don't recall.
No, there wasn't an option, I called them.
You didn't run.
4 years ago I did.
That's right, you did run.
That's right,
You didn't
and I
run.
couldn't go
Maybe you
because I
should
had
have been on
work.
channel.
Well, maybe I had to support my kids.
Well, okay. Are we ready for the last one? No, I didn't with that one.
Yeah, there was no other board communications.
Should we have that discussion at our next meeting on Tuesday then, before it is tossed out?
What discussion do you want to have?
The one Mrs. Bailey is talking about, maybe she can bring some directives to us to make that decision.
Just put it on there
As
for a
the-
vote on Tuesday.
But as
That's what's going to
our
happen.
inquiry has shown, there is no policy set.
She didn't say there was a policy.
I know,
It's a
but-
board decision.
But I'm saying,
You
why
have a
does she
quorum
feel
here,
that-
let's take a vote.
Okay, why does she feel that should be done when she's trying to say it's the board and I don't
Judy?
see whose job defined. I'd like to see where you find that in definition.
A
Mrs. Bailey.
superintendent is the board's employee.
Yes,
The superintendent takes direction from the majority of the board.
well, I guess we could go back to the books that are showing the division. If Mr. Aldrich has called the ISBE and has been directed that there is no policy and that districts are doing this,
So
then
the
where are
IS
you coming from, is what I'm
ISBE
asking.
ISBE said the superintendents usually take it upon themselves to get involved into the school board candidates and makes up their own questions and sends it out to the candidates without board direction, without community direction, and the ISB is directing him to do that.
No.
That's what you just said.
He was inquired. Mr. Aldridge, you want to define what your communication was, please, maybe a second time.
In order to allow everyone to have access and for the community to have information about the board candidates, I called our field representative from IASB and said, Ms. Owens, do you know of anything that would prohibit the school district from asking questions and posting on its website questions to candidates and incumbent board members? And she gave me a list of ideas, other things that other school districts do, on and on. Now, whether or not that is superintendent work or if that is board policy and board decision, vision and mission work, I don't want to argue that tonight because I'm getting tired. But that's fine. I will remove that from my list of to-do things, and we can work on what the board would like to do, if anything, for putting information out to the community or about the board the candidates for school board. So I've got no problem with that. Doesn't.
I have no problem with listing their names and experience on the website. I have no problem whatsoever. We've done it before, board directed. Would you please make a website and put their experience or whatever they'd like to turn in? The part I'm not comfortable with is the questions and the interviewing.
Well, I
Understood.
believe the
Okay.
questions were directed as we had the direction from the channel. You're giving the questions out ahead of time, and then the candidate can come in and feel comfortable knowing what the questions are.
Oh, that's fine, what Channel 22 does. I don't think this school district needs to get involved in the questions.
I
If
don't think the school board needs to get involved in the questions.
I agree, absolutely. That's why I don't think there should be any.
No, I'm saying you're wanting the school board to be the one that say yay or nay. You're
No.
asking biased people to get involved in an election.
No,
We
no,
saw
Judy.
that.
No, all I said was list the candidate's name, experience, or anything else that they would like to put on our website. I think that's fair for everybody.
Okay.
I don't think this board needs to get involved in asking questions.
Right, and I would agree with you.
Okay.
That's why the questions are coming from other
No.
areas that are doing the same thing.
No.
Why should the superintendent ask questions to the candidates that live in this district?
Who better knows the district?
The people who's lived here and been here for 40 or 50 years,
Really?
yes.
That's why you're seeing them step up?
Yes,
Really?
yes.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well,
All we're kind of doing is digressing to an argument.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
If you want to put it on.
No.
an agenda,
Yeah, because you guys are just
no,
saying vote for
I
it,
just
so.
assume, let's just stay out of the political realm,
I think so.
and nobody gets any access to
I
the
agree.
school district's website. If community group wants to put together a candidates night, we'll leave it to the community to do that. Yeah, there you
I'd
go.
like to see us open our schools for that if somebody would like to step up and run it like we've done in the past, because then all they're using is our building, our facility. All right, let's move on.
We need a motion.
Go ahead, Mrs. Kriegel.
One.
Make a motion to enter into executive session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act for the purpose of conducting a semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 2.06 of the Open Meetings Act and the collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their relatives.
Representatives.
I'm sorry, yes,
Second.
representatives, sorry, thank you. At 8:30, holy cow,
Thank you. Roll call, please.
passes off.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Need a motion, please, to return to regular session.
Make the motion to return to regular session at 9:32.
Thank you, Mrs. Bailey.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Griner. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. We need a possible action motion for the substitute teacher.
I'll make the motion
Thank
to
you.
employ Christopher Hill as a substitute teacher.
Second.
So we'll go with Mrs. Reagan as a second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle, Val Reagan,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Going on to the next motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the resignation of Cindy Tobias with regrets.
Second.
Mrs. Reiner and Mrs. Reagan. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Val Reagan,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Motion regarding executive session minutes, please.
I'll make the motion to release the following executive session minutes dated July 1st, 2014, August 13th, 2014, August 19th, 2014, September 2nd, 2014, September 22nd, 2014, October 21st, 2014, November 18, 2014, December 19th, 2014, and to retain executive session meetings dated July 15th, 2014, and September 16th, 2014.
Second.
Nice job, Mrs. Bailey, thank you, Mrs. Griner. Oh, I'm tired. Discussion? Roll call?
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle, Val Reagan,
Aye.
Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'm sure you can get those from the list too, if you need to verify that for Mrs. Bailey. She took a great amount of time to help us. We need
Have
a
a request.
request.
Okay, next Tuesday night's meeting,
Mhm.
could we wait on those policies that we were just given? We wait until we get the first, we have a first reading right now, and we need some to come back, and then we need to do a second reading. Could we finish those before we start another batch?
Oh, great,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. If you're ready for an adjournment, I'll make the motion.
Yes, please.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
9:34.
Yeah, it's 9:34. Roll call, please.
Linda Bailey,
Aye.
Pam Griner,
Aye.
Brenda Cagle,
Aye.
Val Reagan, Judy Strong.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Meeting adjourned. Get that.